Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. So here on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, going back all the way to 2018, I've been trying to read and review each of the roughly 600 short stories written by Ray Bradbury. To this point, we've done over 225 of them here, and we're continuing on this week through the collection The Cat's Pajamas Stories with A Careful Man Dies, which was written way back in 1946 but not published until 2003 with this collection. The way that these reviews work is I do a brief synopsis of what happens in the story and then sort of wrap up with some thoughts and things about what it all means. Is it a good story? Is it worth your time? What did I think about the whole operation? All right, so told in second person, this story puts you really into the heart of the action and keeps you sort of in a state of ignorance, creating a sense of mystery. You are Douglas, a hemophiliac author who sleeps only 4 hours a night, lives alone, he's very careful, and in the wee hours of the morning he works on his novel. And he's very careful not to get cut. One day, he opens his mail, gets cut by a razor blade that's been hidden inside, and he's bleeding very profusely. But he has a handy-dandy bottle of pills which he takes to help coagulate his blood. He is writing a thinly veiled novel about his ex and her new lover who are into narcotics, and there seems to be some sense that there is a case against them being held up by some thing, perhaps corruption in the narcotics division of the police department. And there seems to be this sense that he thinks that his thinly veiled novel may be a threat to them, and therefore they may be trying to kill him or be trying to hurt him. On his way to lunch later that day to meet a friend, he cuts his hand on the car door, which appears to have been sharpened in some way, and so he takes more pills. At lunch, he managed to cut his tongue on a salad fork, which seems to have been sharpened in some way, and he takes more pills. On the way home, he feels like he has been followed. Still later, he reconnects with his ex, and when they kiss, she reaches behind his neck to hold his head and manages to cut him very lightly on the back of his neck. He takes more pills. The next day, they decide to go to the beach far from town and lay on the beach in sun. And this is a place they used to go to when they were together. And he used to hunt barnacles, he said. He's getting very hot. She instructs him to roll over. He rolls over. She's going to put oil on his back, which she does, and it feels great, and he feels better until suddenly he begins to feel more and more warm. She says that she's going to the car for something. She goes up these flights of steps that bring you down to the beach, but she waves and gets in the car and leaves. It's at this point that he realizes the reason his back is so warm is because he is bleeding. He thinks she must have slipped some sort of numbing agent, Novocaine or something, into the lotion. And here he is bleeding out alone on the beach. He fumbles through the bags trying to find his pills, but he can't find a single one of them because he's used them all up in recent days. And presumably, he sort of indicates that he's going to try to survive, try to get to town, but it's miles and miles away. He's alone, and very likely he will die. And the title does say, A Careful Man Dies. This may be my favorite story in this collection so far. Putting into the second person point of view puts you in the middle of the action, but it also keeps you isolated. He doesn't know what's going on for sure, just his paranoia, and it certainly feels like maybe he's a little bit paranoid until in fact he does die. All these other incidents could have been accidents along the way, but in this case she surely does do something to try to kill him in the end, which I thought was a pretty cool angle. I think this would make a great movie. I would say that the method of death is pretty ingenious. The way that he thinks that she's just rubbing suntan oil on him, and in fact it's a numbing agent, and then he can't feel it when she cuts him and then leaves him to bleed out, and it would look like an accident. And perhaps he was swimming and cut himself on something and could not get to help in time. But I also love this idea that he has these pills that he depends on, this fail-safe, and that all these other incidents along the way, whether they are intentionally done by her and her lover or not, they lead to him running out of pills. And then in this moment of love, of reconnecting with his old fling, he doesn't replenish his supply of pills. He can find none, and in fact, that is his demise, this moment where he let his guard down. It's well written, it's well executed, and hands down one of the better stories in this collection, and one of the better Bradbury stories that I've read in a long time. It's a 1946 story. I don't think it was published much, if at all, until later. But it certainly deserves to be a better regarded story in his pantheon of great creations. All right, then. The next time, we'll be looking at The Cat's Pajamas, written in 2003. That is the namesake story of this collection, so I'm looking forward to see what that's all about. It is the story, the crux of the book, no doubt, the reason the title was used, so hopefully it's a really good one. But we'll have to wait until find out next time. So, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again shortly.